Well, then let's get to it, man. We are now officially going to be doing the WNBA matchup report, which we're both very excited to be doing. So, um, every week now, we're going to be watching the WNBA just like we were at the NBA. We're going to be previewing matchups. We're going to be talking about everything that's going on, whether it be like the games or just stuff happening within the world of the WNBA in general. So, very excited to talk about it. And there's actually already something we could talk about in the shoot around afterwards for the WNBA that I want to get your opinion on. But let's get to it, man. What's first let's kind of introduce how we want to talk about the WNBA and our experience with it and everything that we know about it. Because, admittedly, right, we both aren't as knowledgeable on the WNBA as we are with the NBA.
Yeah.
We are fans of the WNBA and women's college sports, basketball in general, especially. We both covered it when we were at Temple. You're so close to me being able to say like when we were both at Temple, but like you're
All
still
right,
there. But
don't put me in those conversations just yet.
yeah. Sorry, Unc. But we're already like we both have like been around women's basketball a lot when we were in college and enjoyed it. Like I think I enjoyed following the Temple women's basketball team more than the men's. I feel like you definitely agree. Uh, but so we've always been a fan of the game, but just like casually from the distance, right? We're always kind of like, well, like we want to talk about it, but we really can't because we're just not that knowledgeable. Like as like we feel like we'd be doing a disservice. But at the same time, we do genuinely want to talk about it. So we're going into this season fully like transparent, saying like, look, we're not the biggest experts on it, but we're taking this season as a season to get our baseline, right? We're going to be figuring out this game as we go along, becoming more familiar with the coaches, schemes, how these teams play each other. As this league expands, we want to expand with it, basically. So we're both very excited to watch the WNBA this season, see some players that we already know, see how they do, and some newer players that we maybe don't know and that we're excited to watch and learn about. So that's my part on it. I don't know if you want to say anything about that as
Yeah.
well.
Like you mentioned, like I literally my freshman year, which now was 4 years ago, it was crazy to say. I started covering Temple women's basketball and Diane Richardson. It was her first year as head coach there. And that to me has been my favorite beat of like my entire college career is following Diane Richardson and developing a relationship with her, developing a relationship with her staff and the players that come in and out of that program. Yes, they haven't reached the success that I think anyone on this campus would love to see from them. Neither has the men's to that degree as well, which I think is more disappointing considering the history there. But in terms of the women's program, you look at a head coach like Diane Richardson and her personal story. Like if you, I encourage you to look that up, is because she's amazing.
Great person.
Yeah, great person. She's also the I don't want to get this wrong. Jonquel Jones is her uh, I don't.
Adopted mother, right?
Yeah, I want to say or she's her adopted mother. Or
Their family.
yes, their family. To the point where it's funny, like when they did when Liberty won a couple years ago. Diane Richardson was literally there with Jonquel Jones, like
On the court.
at the end of the game, and we're all taking like photos and like posting
Yeah.
it, like Coach, we see you. So so yeah, like it's been my favorite thing getting to cover them and see the growth of women's sports, and of course naturally they always become a big thing around college basketball season, and we've seen that more and more. And I think from there it's like, all right, yes, like a lot of people will say like the women's basketball scene doesn't grow without Caitlin Clark, and yes, that is true. There's still a lot of other great players. There's been a lot of great players before her. There's a lot of great players that we're seeing now just entering the league, and we see a lot of great players that are still yet to enter the league. So there's a lot of potential when it comes to the growth of the WNBA, and we're just here to follow that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember what's going to be really fun for me with this is like obviously when we were covering women's college basketball, we're talking about not just the Temple players, but just players around the league. I remember I was doing a show twice a week my final semester at Temple, just talking about women's college basketball, which was a lot of fun. And then, but as you're doing that, you're learning about these players that are about to go into the WNBA. So now for me, part of the fun is going to be like, I have a lot of familiarity with the younger players that are in the WNBA, more so than a lot of the older players, actually. So it's going to be fun for me to learn more about a lot of the vets in the league compared to like the rookies or like some of these like second and third year players who like I'm already familiar with and love watching. So like I'm gonna get to one here soon who I'm very excited to see this year. But yeah, man, I can't wait. This is gonna be a really fun season. It tips off this Friday, and there's already some good games to talk about, and there's always some interesting storylines. So I can't wait for it. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start off. We're actually gonna kind of go through, as always. We're gonna talk about what matchups we'll be watching this weekend. We're gonna treat it just like we do the like any like NFL and NBA when we talk about it, and then we're also gonna be talking about just like we obviously like we just said, full transparency, we can't do it justice to a full WNBA preview like for the entire league. So we're just going to bring up things that we're excited to watch this season as we go along. For the knowledge that we have now, and then maybe later on we can look back at it and say like, okay, this was really cool. This is what we learned, and this is what we love about it. So can't wait to do that. But I'll kick it off, man. I'll talk about one of the first things I'm looking forward to watching.
Okay.
And we'll start off a little bit sicko here. I'm looking forward to watching the Mystics' young team. Like I legitimately, and there is personal, like there is like good reason here, right? Yeah. Like I watched. I went to a WNBA game last year with both my parents when I was visiting them in DC, and we went to a Mystics game when they played the Aces. Because I told my mom, I was like, I would love to go see a WNBA game. I was going to try and see one when I was going across the country, but it wasn't going to be possible. So then she was like, okay, let's just go watch the Mystics. And they happened to be playing the Aces. I was like, yes, we have to go to that game because I want to watch the best player in the world in Asia Wilson. So, and it ended up being like a fantastic game. The arena was cool. The crowd was awesome. It was genuinely like a great time. But like even then I got to see some of their younger players like pop off, and it was like, okay, they got something going here. Obviously they're not there yet, but like they got something here. And then now they had Lauren Betts, and it feels like almost every other UCLA player. But like I'm really like, and they don't have a lot of expectations going into this season, but I'm really excited to watch this young core and how they develop over the season, and they show like what they can be going forward.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of go in that same direction, especially because you talk about the youth of the Mystics. And yes, this is I'm in the same boat as you where it's like I understand and know a lot more about the younger players.
Yeah.
And for me, like the Lynx and Olivia Miles, like I'm really excited to see what that looks like.
Dude, she already looks good in the preseason games.
Yes, she is. I was watching, I forgot which game. I think it was against the Tempo. I was watching and I was like, oh, okay, like we're looking good here. But in terms of and yes, I also do. A side note, I do have a fantasy women's basketball league with my friends. So it's like that's for me is also a part of like how I'm going to continue to learn this as I'm hoping to get a dub. I really like my squad. I'll say that. I got Sabrina Ionescu. I got Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu, which I didn't like. I don't know how that happened.
How?
So my girlfriend's in this league, and she just likes to go off of like people she knows. So with her first pick, she went Natasha Cloud, Philly native Natasha Cloud, which I was like, that's cool. She wasn't on a team when she drafted her first, with her first pick. But I was like, you know what? Like, who am I to step in and tell you who not to draft when I play you week one? So at the end of the day, I'm okay with that. And I came away with a nice haul there. But Nafisa Collier, who is like I think probably the second best player. It's like I know like that sounds like a kind of a knock to say, oh, she's the second best. Asia Wilson's Asia Wilson.
Yeah.
Nafisa Collier is like to me like it's going to be interesting to see like how she continues to come back from her injury and what that looks like in the timeline of that and how the Lynx are able to manage that, and especially like an Olivia Miles who I think can come in and make an immediate impact for this team. And then I want to see what that looks like when she is with Nafisa Collier as well. So I really want to see how the Lynx season evolves, and then once Nafisa Collier comes back, what does that look like as we see this team at full strength?
Yeah, that actually, I think that was one of mine. I was going to put, but I was trying to stick to 5. But I was like, yeah, what is Minnesota going to look like without Collier there at first? And then like are they going to be able to like still be like the team that was like going to be able to make a playoff push without her?
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be exciting. I'm curious to see like exactly when she comes back, but because obviously she's a big part of the team. All right, you ready for my next one?
Hit me with it.
I am going Paige Beckers and the revamped Dallas Wings. First of all, Paige Beckers is just amazing to watch. Like during Unrivaled when we were watching her, I was like, holy shit. Like she just gives people buckets. Like the one-on-one stuff was amazing. So I can't wait to watch her in general. But then just how the Wings have like now rebuilt this team around her this offseason, you could argue that like they had the biggest turnaround of any team this offseason with all the players that they've added to go around her. So now I'm curious to see like now that she's got more front court help and there's going to be less on her being how to be like the primary scorer, like how is she going to have more space now to play with? We're seeing her shoot the 3 a little bit more in the preseason and hitting those threes. So is that going to be more of an important part of her game now too? Which, you become a complete 3-level scorer in a league that's a little bit more physical with a WNBA. I think we could see her like competing for some pretty serious awards this year.
Yeah. I'm going to go in and kind of a very well similar direction with a team that they didn't really similar but opposite direction. Not a team they're a team that's kind of redoing it, and that's the Liberty because they have Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jacqueline Jones, and it really is just like all right, everything was not healthy for us. Health was the big issue. But
including Stewart, who like she played a lot,
yes,
but she wasn't fully like yeah.
she played the playoffs for them on a sprained MCL and still scored all their fourth quarter points in a game, which was the reason why
Just
their head coach was let go after that. Where it's like, and yes, like it is part of it is definitely head coaching and Sandy Brunello is one of the or Brondello is one of the better head coaches in the WNBA. But it's hard to sit there and say like you got one player scoring 14 points for you in a fourth quarter and say like, all right, like some change needs to be made, and you consider all the injuries that happened with your big three that I mentioned. It's going to be interesting to see how they revamp, not just under a new coach, but like just redoing it with a core of Stewart, Ionescu, and Jones.
Yeah, I can't wait. Actually, I had the Liberty as one of mine because mine literally just said like it was a combination of Vegas as well as New York. I was like, are we just going to see them have continued dominance in this league, or who can step up and go against them? Because, I mean, the Aces, I feel like they actually only got better this offseason, and they have one of my favorite players in Jewel Lloyd out there with them who like doesn't even start. Like, it's just they are an insane team. When I got to see them live, there was a point in the fourth quarter where, I mean, Asia Wilson was Asia Wilson, but like the whole team just kind of took over. I was like, I get it. I get it. Like this team is nuts. And I just,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, any team that has Asia Wilson on it, like all you have to do is get to the playoffs.
Yes.
I think we saw that.
It is like insane, like how dominant she truly is, and we could. That's a whole like other talking point on itself. But the final thing I'll add for the Liberty is they also added Satu Sabali, who averaged 16 points a game last year. Like it's you talk about like we talk about the depth of like a team like OKC on the men's side, and I think not that Liberty have that level of depth. Sorry, I have to stay loyal to my first team here, but I am interested until the Philly. I don't have a like I followed the Liberty solely because I was like Jonquil Jones, Diana Richardson.
Yeah, good reason.
Like it wasn't like I'm a diehard fan. And now that Philly's here, like or on the way, I have to wait. Like if I don't, I feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice when Dawn Staley is eventually the head coach of that team. But yeah, I'm just really interested to see what the Liberty will do depth wise and everything tied to that.
Yeah, I'm excited to also see. There was one more player in the Liberty. I'm glad you brought them back up because Han Zhu, the center out of China, is her third year, right? She was looking real good in the preseason too. The fact that they just have her, I was just like, all right, bro. Like this team looks ridiculous, man. Like every time I look at the Liberty, I'm like, they got that player, they got that player, they got that player. It's just like, all right. Okay, next one. You want to go next?
Yeah. So for me, this next one, I think we talked about a lot of individual rookies. I just want to see this rookie class as a whole. I think this especially was you talk about the dominance of UCLA, and they like all their starting five got drafted because they were all seniors. They all got drafted to the W. So I was like, all right, like I really want to see what this looks like. And to me, and this is something I like. We talk about the learning and the development of us in this aspect, as well as people who are learning to love the W more and more. I'm really curious about like, and yes, I know the answer is like expansion helps a lot, which is what they're doing now. But it is crazy to me to see like top 10, top 15 players that get drafted suddenly get cut before the season even starts. And I've seen.
Okay, so I was gonna bring that up in my next like thing I'm going to talk about.
Because it's like everything I've seen and watched, like I've heard about this draft class being great. I've seen it from at least the college years, and then you hear players like Marta Suarez, who just got cut from the Valkyries after they traded Floje Johnson. So I was like, all right, like you traded a player who Floje Johnson has looked great this preseason. Right?
She's my next point, by the way. Yeah. She is specifically the rookie I want to watch the most.
Looks great. You traded her for this player, and then you cut that player before the regular season even starts. And I'm like, how do you like? And I'm interested to see, like, especially as the league develops, when we start to watch it more and more, like, how does this happen? Yeah. And I know, like, yes, they see the player more and more, but you also see them a lot more in the pre-draft process and like in developing, like, wanting to do that. You pulled the trigger on it, and now you're like, we'll just cut her. Like it to me is insane.
And then I think she actually just got picked up by Phoenix after getting waived. like just today. I think I saw that like a few hours ago. She got picked up by Phoenix, so hopefully she can find a home there then. Because yeah, that was really. And then Haley Van Lith also just got cut after having a pretty damn good preseason game, which was like she didn't even miss a shot. Uh, but also the Chicago Sky then picked up Natasha Cloud, so who you were just talking about. So you know, uh, but yeah, so Flau'jae Johnson, man, I cannot wait to watch her. I love her style of play. Like she is my favorite kind of like just basketball player. Just that like I'm gonna kill you and I'm gonna talk and I'm gonna do like I absolutely love that. So like watching her in these preseason games with the Storm already, with the Seattle Storm have always been like that team I more supported than any other team within the W anytime I watched it because mainly because of Skylar. You know, Skylar is my favorite player, but like that was mainly the reason why I was watching it. But Flau'jae coming in and being as good as she is, like there's not obviously a lot of expectations with Seattle here, but like shoot, I mean look at Sue Bird when she was watching Flau'jae on the court side, like beaming. Like I'm right there with her, man. I can't wait to watch her. I think she'll be my favorite rookie to watch this year. So I can't wait to watch her in the Storm and how they develop alongside her. I got one more. What about you? Oh wait, you're muted. Unprofessional.
Yeah, I thought I was past this.
You're about to graduate and we're still.
Yeah, yeah. My final point is more so like it's just an accumulation of like new rosters as a whole. I feel like there's a lot of like new rosters who have entirely retooled. And the one
A
that
lot.
sticks out to me is the Sky, like Chicago Sky.
Hey, that's my final one. We're right there, same
All right,
page.
So, and this is where I'll start. Angel Reese, look, has received a lot of criticism. I still think she's a really good player.
She's a very good player.
Yes, the me bounce stuff to me is hilarious. But I actually talked about this in a class, and I think I told you this, like John Kincaid's Talk Radio class. Like we had like many different submissions and stuff. And one of my submissions was talking about how like a part of the WNBA's expansion, with it comes slander, and to me it is a positive force. And yes, it can go too far, and there are a lot of weirdos who definitely will take it too far. With that being said,
always.
when you consider like think about just the NBA playoffs as a whole, and think about like Austin Reeves going out there having a bad game one after coming off an injury and instantly being slandered.
Yeah, he had one bad game in the playoffs, and his fans are talking about like, oh, we should have traded this bum at the beginning of the season. You're like, what?
You see like the memes of like D'Angelo Russell's head being put on a cone. Like to me, like that is top tier like NBA like like slander. Like the WNBA like with the growth and everything has to deal with a bit of that as well. Like it is to me it is a sign of like people tuning in and watching games where they are making enough of a correlation to say like, all right, like Angel Reese is getting me bounds. Like and you see the clips, yes, obviously, but then you watch the game and it's like, yeah, like she's improving as well. So there's two sides of it where yes, people would just like blindly, watch like House of Highlights and Bleacher Report clips and say like, oh, like me bounds or like, the Shea free throw stuff. But then you actually watch and you see that she actually is improving and is going to be a big piece for the Dream this season. But last year, towards the end of the regular season, she said like, oh, like this team needs to upgrade its talent. And what do? They get rid of her and then upgrade the talent. Like, and that to me was like, all right, like that. It just felt like it was personal because it's like they completely retooled their entire roster after trading her, which I was like, probably needed to happen. Yes. With that being said, it really like you did exactly what she asked you to do. Like it's so I'm really interested to see what this entire like new retooled roster looks like.
Yeah, so I got 2 points here. I'll stick with the Chicago Sky point first, and then I kind of have like a league point to go along with something that you said. But the Chicago Sky point, yeah. First off, you had my favorrit player, Skylar, and I'm like, God damn it, now I gotta watch
You
you.
look
Like,
strong
most
as
of
hell. The
Dude.
clips, Tyler Diggins, like I saw her flex. I was like, God. I was like, look, I'm scrawny, and like you obviously can't see it most times. I like to wear long sleeves, but like I was like I'm not a big dude, and like every time like I see like like stronger women, like God damn, like they would ball me up and put me up against the wall. So that's what like.
Hey man, and this is something I was gonna talk about with you later too, because there was a thing that came up, but like the WNBA is a physical ass league. Like they legitimately play like it was the NBA like 20 years ago at times. So it's like they're all big. Like even Paige Beckers this year like bulked up a bit. So it's like you're gonna see that with a lot of these players. But yeah, with the Chicago Sky, I love everything they added. Right, you got Skylar, you got Natasha. I as an organization, they still kind of piss me off with everything that they've done in recent years. But it is like the roster is exciting, right? So I am curious to see like how that's gonna look. But on the other side, like I am also curious to see how Atlanta's the Dreams team looks now with Angel Reese and all the other young players that they drafted. So it's like it's kind of like one thing to watch where it's like I wonder if Angel Reese is kind of like what you're saying, be like, yo, what the hell? Like y'all couldn't do this for me when I was there, but
I'm taking
we'll see what
if I'm
happens.
her, but that's just me. But
I
you
hope she
mentioned a
does.
good
Use
point.
it as motivation.
Yeah, you mentioned a good point about the physicality because it's funny because
Well, so can I talk about
yeah,
why
go
I
ahead.
will bring up? So Collier was on a NPR interview, I think it was, where she actually brought up that maybe the rules need to change in the W because it's so physical and that it can cause injuries and it just changes the way like the game is played when it's supposed to be more of an offensive league. I think she said something along the lines of like that's why you play basketball like, for the offense and things like that. So she was saying like that the NBA, the W currently plays like the NBA did in the '80s with its physicality. She wants to see rules change more to match more of like what is more of like a modern type of basketball. Which I was gonna kind of curious what you thought about that because like I do somewhat agree with her, but I do think there's a point, right? You don't want to go too far because I think at times the NBA has gone too far with it.
Yeah.
So I think that the W actually has a chance here in like in upcoming years if they listen to like what her and maybe some of the other players are thinking. And I know she's got a loud voice within the W for a reason. So it's like I wonder if they do maybe adjust that in coming years here because I think they could find like a good like middle ground there if they wanted to.
So to me, what's interesting is before that had came out, they
Mm-hmm.
asked like as a FUD, like how are you like what's the biggest difference of like the W so far? And she said like, oh, like I thought it'd be more physical. Like she's like if you touch people, it's a foul. Like and it,
Mm.
like it's the lightest thing. So I was like, damn, like it like to hear Nafisa Collier come out after and speak about how it being super physical. It's and yes, like at the same time, I think at least in terms of the Azzy aspect of this, it's preseason for her. She hasn't played at the actual like regular season.
Yeah, wait till you get posted up by
Yeah,
Angel Wilson.
the
We'll see
physical
what-
like aspect of that. At the same time, it is like it is a development like period, and I think like that is it's really easy to forget that when you're talking about a product that's rapidly growing like this, where it's like you expect to see more immediate results. And there's a lot of people who are calling for like super results of like, oh, like let's lower the rims and stuff. I don't think that'll ever happen, and I don't think it needs to happen. Where it's a matter of just like you're getting a lot of good talent in, where it's like you're like yes, there's a lot of like influx of like high name stars like the Caitlin Clarks, the Sabrina Nescu's, the Paige Beckers, but you're also getting nice pieces who can be like role players and like and develop into solid careers. Like it isn't always going to be the like massive development periods for like a program and an organization like this, but they're steadily growing, which I think is the important thing. But I do agree that it feels like you're playing 80s and 90s basketball, but like think about the evolution of like how we got here now. Like think about 2000s NBA basketball, think about 2010s NBA basketball, and think about like the like
post up, post up,
yeah,
post up.
post up, post up, post up, and then you have Stephen Curry who's pulled in from the parking lot, and it's like all right, like and then people hated that like as well, where it's like all teams do is shoot threes. Like for
Yeah.
me, it's like it's really easy to constantly criticize the product. Especially if it's coming from a player perspective, I think you need to think about like the player safety aspect, and maybe it does need to be stricter about foul calls, which I think like especially if we're seeing this in the preseason that they're being stricter, it could signify that maybe they're following this and being a bit more stricter about this and saying you can't play as physical. But it really is a time will tell situation. But I just think
Yeah.
like we need to sit back and just kind of let that happen, opposed to like trying to be proactive with that. Like we've seen what it has looked at in previous seasons. We haven't seen what it looks like to start this season. We haven't seen what changes are made yet.
Yeah, I mean, you're completely right. And I think one of the bigger differences coming out of college for women's basketball is like, yeah, you have the more physicality, but I think it's a more of a consistent physicality. I think is the point. Like, yeah, like because I think one of the biggest differences coming into the W as a player is like the spacing that you get compared to college, especially. I think Lauren Betts is figuring that out very quickly. She's probably looking around at her post-ups going like, why are there not four players on me right now? Like, what is all this space I have? But I mean, the physicality part, I think it's just a more like consistent physicality, right? Like you're getting these like smart veteran players who've been doing it for, you imagine like Brianna Stewart like covering you, right, or defending you, and you're out there like how is she playing me like this so physical and getting away with it? It's because they know how to play that way. So I think that's one of the differences, and then the spacing part of it as well. Like you're going to see a lot of these younger players have to realize that like not everyone is crashing inside all the time. Like you have shooters out there, so yeah. We'll see what happens, man. I'm curious. That was just something I want to talk about. So I'm curious if we are going to see any changes in response to that anytime soon, or if the whole league actually did feel the same way. Um, Final thing I wanted to bring up before we talk about the matches we'll be watching this weekend was there was a fantastic article. I think it was like a couple weeks now ago that I read, but I brought it back up by Candace Buckner of The Athletic, where she talked about now that we're in this new, we're calling like the money era of the W, that the players are now also going to have to adjust to having this different spotlight on them, because obviously with more money and respect becomes more attention, right? And this is part of the deal, but it's also, I think, what you want, right? Because more attention on your league, it can be bad, and the spotlight and all that is not always great, but it can also lead to more money and more opportunity and better expansion and whatever else engagement for your league. But she brought up is because like some of these press conferences, like you're starting to see more press. You're starting to get different questions about yourself. Like it's not just about the game and the technicalities and, showing hands and, messing up driving lanes, things like that. It's not like, oh, like they did this flexion in the court. Like it's stuff what we love to hear. But you're also all now going to get more press out there talking about your personal lives and digging into you and what you've got going on outside of it. Unfortunately, we've seen that with Fudd and Beckers, but like also some other players have talked about like, why are you asking about my personal life? This is it, right? Like this is like you're dealing with what every other league has to deal with, and unfortunately, you weren't getting the attention that you deserve in the past. But now we're here. I was curious what you thought about that as like another media person. Like, do you agree with that? Do you think the spotlight is like this is just kind of what comes with it, or do you think like it's maybe just like overdone?
I think it's what comes with it, but to some degree, because like this is like as we're naming the money era, you do get to set the guidelines for what that looks like. And I think now it's a good time to come out and be like, and especially to check people early and be like, shit's weird if you're doing this. Like, and I think
it's like, why are you asking about my dating life?
Yeah, like it to some degree, and like sometimes like it makes sense if there's a question here and there. But I think when people make it the entirety of a player and take it away from the sport, where I think that becomes an issue. And yes, like there's a lot of these players speak up about things outside of basketball as well, which I think like that would be the
well, the W is very good about speaking out about certain things, like in a very positive way.
Yeah, I think that'd be the counterpart to that, where people will say like, well, like they're willing to talk about like these bigger issues around the world. Like, why can't they talk about their personal like dating lives? And it's like they have to. They don't want to. Like to me, it's like it really is a matter of like
it's a very reductive way of looking at it.
Yeah, like it's insane. But like I said, this is an opportunity with the growth of the sport to really start to set guidelines and to be like, if something happens weird, like you're like, we don't think we should do this moving forward, check it right then. Because that's how we got to the point now of the NBA where it's like we see a lot of these things kind of accepted. And yes, like I do think, like once again, going back to the slander point, like this is that's the perfect topic where I think like you can set the guidelines for like having fun with these type of things and making fun of poor performances and laughing at these low lights, but also being honest and reflective about like these are like still women with like lives outside of basketball that have like livelihoods. Like I think about like all of the Kennedy Chandler stuff last year, where it's like and some of it, yes, like was like justified. There was a lot of like negative stuff where I was like, that was kind of funny. With that being said, I do think at some point it got too far, where it's like people just kept going, and it's like, all right, like y'all have already beat her down to the point where it's like it's just not necessary anymore. So I just look at this and say like I think this is the perfect time for them to set the guidelines of like what they will and won't accept moving forward.
And you see, that's why this man's going to get paid the big bucks eventually, because of well thought out and educated responses like that. Shout out Temple University. All right, man, let's get into it. Let's talk about the matchups that we're excited to watch this weekend. I'll have you go first. What's the first game you're excited to watch?
All right. I'm doubling this up to tie it to 1 point. It's just both of the expansion teams. Toronto plays at 7:30 Friday, and then Golden State plays. Am I tripping? Or is it which one was Golden State or Seattle? Which is the newest? Because Toronto.
You got Portland and you got Toronto are the new ones.
Okay, Golden State was new last year. learning
Yeah.
process here. We're figuring it out together. Okay, so Toronto will play their first game Friday at 7:30,
Hmm.
and then Portland will play their first game Saturday at 9. Which,
Hmm.
by the way, like the Toronto Tempo, not a good name, and like
Yeah.
like me and my friends were talking about this when we had our WNBA draft, and I was like, I'm not rocking with it. Like I feel, and now the fear is like, what are they gonna name Philly? Like, there's a lot of like names being thrown around. Either way, I just really want to see how both of these teams look in their first game. Like it's really weird, like thinking about expansion because like I haven't like been consciously aware to see an expansion team in the NBA or the NFL. Like for I know you probably have, not to bring up the age thing. But like I just look at this and say like I can't imagine a time where it was like seeing an expansion play out. And now we're going to see it play out multiple different times for the next couple of years for the WNBA. And I really want to get a sense of what that looks like and what is like a baseline for like this is a really poor expansion team and this is like like an excelling expansion team.
Well, I think we're seeing with the Valkyries, like Golden State, like they are off to a good start, I would say. Like I know it's still young, but like it seems like they are doing like a lot of the right stuff. They're making money, like they're putting together a good roster. Like they seem to be doing well. I was going to ask you about expansion teams at one point because I also have the tempo game. I have because of Mystics. Like I was mainly looking up for the Mystics, but like yeah, like how are you going to do against this expansion team? Um, I was curious about it because I'm like because we're both Philly fans. We're both excited. Well, we got to wait 4 years, but we're both excited for the Philly expansion team when it comes. Still yet to be named. But I was going to ask you, I was like, do you like that they're going to be the last expansion team? Because then maybe they can watch and see like, okay, what are the mistakes? What are like the things that we need to avoid? This is what worked well for the other expansion teams. Or would you rather be the Valkyries who can be like, we got a jump start on this and we can just get this going right away. We'll just learn as we go.
It's tough. I'll say like from the perspective of thinking about it like as a soon to be Philadelphia unknown name.
I gotta know a name.
Yeah,
And it can't be if they do something sexist. I'm gonna be so
yeah,
upset.
I don't want to hear any 76ers
The
or
Liberty Bells is gonna
so,
piss me off.
no, like leave that in the past. Um, People are gonna think we're being performative. We're sitting there being like, "Oh my god, like why would you ever do this?" No, like it is seriously like it's like some of the names, and yes, like I understand they're significant to Philly. Like the one I've heard in particular, like the Johns, like we cannot be calling like women Johns. Like it,
Let's be serious
yeah,
about
like
this.
I know like it's fun and like that's like literally what they're probably going to end up being referred to, just because we refer to everything as that, but like like we cannot trot out like a group of women out in the court and be like, oh, here come the Johns. Like it just does not sound
That would be so bad.
like right. And then like the one I've seen as well, the Rage. Yes, I understand this like the historical significance to that. Once
But
again, like it is you start to get into really like interesting territory of like the dilemma of like how do you want to handle like referring to women as these type of things, and that's what I
and
constantly look
it
at with.
and my thing is like I don't want them to try too hard to make it like about the city thing. Like think about like the Flyers, right? That was like just a made up like thing. I'm pretty sure it was like the owner's wife came up with it or whatever it was. I forget the exact history of the Flyers, but like you know what I'm saying. Like you don't have to be like oh like well we were in Philly so we got to be like the Ben Franklins or some stupid shit like that. Like you can be creative and still come up with a good name. Like as long as the name Philadelphia is on there, they're representing the city, so you can still come up with like a cool name for them.
This is the perfect chance to like create something that is unique. And I think like we don't have too much of that because Philly is such a historic city where everything has to be historic, everything has to follow a certain formula. Like can you imagine changing the Sixers colors like or like the Eagles colors for like anything? Like the it would be insane. Like
Yeah.
it's even like
I mean, I just want the black uniforms to be back in the main rotation, but
even you think a couple years ago, like before they had the Kelly Greens again, it was every year. When the Kelly Greens coming? When the Kelly Greens coming back? Like I think those type of things, like we forget, like
yeah.
is why like Philly is such a hard place to come up with the name because like you need to create. Like I feel like they could go and just completely create something unique and different, which I think is the best direction.
Me
Give
too.
them an opportunity to make a name for themselves, opposed to like setting a tone for what they are. I just still think the Toronto Tempo is just a basic name.
And then I think we both agree that the biggest reason that the Philadelphia W team needs to come up with a good name is so that you attract Don Staley. to be the first coach of the
I
team.
think I don't really think you need to have a good name to attract her. I think it's all set in stone.
Every little bit helps, okay? I'm just trying to say every little bit helps. We need to throw her the bag. We need to make sure we have a cool team, like everything, whatever we need to
We'll
do to
roll
get
out
Don
whatever
Staley
whatever
to
she wants,
coach the
blank check.
Philadelphia W team. Make it happen.
You know what? Give her the naming rights. Let her let her come up with
The Philly Dons.
Yeah.
Oh, the Philly Dons.
That was being thrown around. I do like.
Nah, you can't do
I
that.
like it, but it is like it is a little like it's like the Browns. Like you think about it, like but they could go that direction. I don't know.
Don't go that direction. Not in Philly. Do not call the team the Browns. Do not do that. I'm telling you right now. Don't do
I
that.
meant like naming it like after dawn in that sense. Not like
I know, but I was like, what? It's like not with that city. Yeah. But anyways, we're both very. We had a whole segment there about the Philly W team. We're both very excited for when that happens. All right, moving on though to my matchup that I want to. So I already talked about Mystic Tempo because you talked about that. I also have Golden State Seattle. Obviously, Golden State, the way they're coming up with everything. But then mainly for me, this was like, all right, cool, Fletcher Johnson. Let's see it. I want to watch you play. And then the one I have after that, then I'll let you go again. I got Dallas and Indiana. I mean, it's Beckers and Caitlin Clark.
my next
Like,
one.
of course. And then it's the revamped teams around them that they have also created in the offseason, where Caitlin Clark now has like a good running mate to go alongside of her in the backcourt, as well as in the front court with her to help her game out as long as she can stay healthy. And then Paige Beckers, we already talked about the team that they've started to build around her as well.
Yeah, that's a game I had circled solely because there's a lot of storylines going in for both sides of it, and I'll start with the Fever side of this, where it's like I need to see consistency from Caitlin Clark. I think like she has that superstar potential, and naturally it's been there since Iowa. What like can she do to be more consistent and be healthy as well to actually prolong this and show that she is this like MVP favorite, is the face of the league that she's been dubbed as? Because I think like it's been sort of underwhelming as of sort, which I know it's difficult to say after a couple of seasons, but I think it has been in the short term. But I think this is the perfect opportunity to really quiet the noise, go out there and have a good season. And then Ty said, I really like Aaliyah Boston, and I really am excited to see what she's going to do for the Fever this season as well. And you look on the Dallas
Yeah,
side,
a great pairing with Caitlin Clark.
and then you look on the Dallas side of this, and it's like, all right, like what does Paige look like in year 2? Like as these debut, like there is a lot going on with both these revamped squads, and it is just like, all right, go out there and figure it out game 1, and then we'll see what to expect from you later as the season progresses.
Yeah. I forgot to mention also because I didn't. Oh no, I did have an LA. I'll get to it then. The next game I had was Atlanta, Minnesota. Kind of for the reasons we talked about earlier with these teams, where I want to see how Minnesota does at the beginning of the season without Collier, and then Atlanta. How does Angel Reese look with the new team and the young players that they added? Really could see that. I think that front court could be dangerous, like a lot of fun. Their defense especially too. And then the last one I had was Vegas and the Sparks on Sunday. That was my only Sunday game I actually had circled. But I mean, I'm gonna be. The good thing about this weekend for me is that like I have it blocked out for just purely basketball. I have like one work meeting, but like all like basketball. But LA, one thing I did want to bring up, someone we haven't talked about, who we talked about a lot when she was in college, was Tenaya Latson. Dude, I can't wait to see her with the Sparks. I think she could be an awesome addition, even if she's coming off the bench. I think what she's shown so far in preseason is like as she goes through these growing pains of like kind of like calm down and let the pace come to you, kind of stuff that we always see from young players in basketball. But I think she could be an awesome addition to what could be a really fun team.
Yeah. What I'll say about LA as well is I want to see Cameron Brink. I talked about the consistency and health of a Caitlin Clark. The same could be doubled and tripled for Cameron Brink early in her career. You need to see her consistent. You need to see her make the impact and justify her as a number 2 pick overall. So I really am interested to see what that looks like. And of course, Kelsey Plum's a bucket. So everything there is
that she is. Valid. All right, that was all my games. Do you have anything else?
Nope.
All right, well, cool, man. I think that's it for us for this show. Unless you had anything surprise for me.
No, was I supposed? No,
I don't know. Sometimes you throw random stuff at me.
I was like, I was a queue up, and I was like, dang, like I don't have anything. And he made me feel like a dickhead.
Well, sometimes you are. Okay.
That's tough.
Hey, congratulations, by the way, on graduating. Okay.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
Dickhead, though. Yeah.
I mean, you're still a dickhead. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. We really appreciate it. For the NBA portion as well as the W portion, we are very excited to watch the W and like I said, we're going to be learning as we go along with the limited knowledge that we have. I can't wait to learn more about the league and analyze and cover it. It's basketball. There's nothing you can love more in this world than basketball, honestly, in my mind. So can't wait. Sorry, mom, but I know I'm trying to convince her to watch a lot more too. So thank everybody for listening or watching. We'll be back again next week with more NBA as well as W coverage. NFL shows we'll start talking about putting those out during the summertime. So don't worry. I know we promised. But there's a lot of teams we got to talk about the off seasons that they've had. So don't worry. We'll be getting to that. But thank you everybody who's been watching, listening to our content. Please keep following and watching us through all of our socials as well as YouTube. We're gonna keep posting. So really appreciate it. But we'll see you all again next week.